Hi, I'm Tina, and today I'll be reading the story of Ferdinand. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together, but not Ferdinand. He liked to just sit quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favorite spot in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favorite spot, and he would sit there in its shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid that he would be lonesome all by himself. "Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls, and skip and butt your head?" she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. "I like it better here, where I can just sit quietly and smell the flowers." His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and strong. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick their horns at each other. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. But not Ferdinand. He liked to just sit quietly and smell the flowers. One day, 5 men came in with very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. All the other bulls would run around, snorting and butting, leaping and jumping, so that the men would think they were very strong and fierce, and pick them. Ferdinand knew that he would not be picked, and he didn't care. So he walked out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass, he sat on the bumblebee. Well, if you were a bumblebee, what would you do? You would sting him. And that is just what the bee did to Ferdinand. Wow, did that hurt. Ferdinand jumped with a snort. He ran around, puffing and snorting, butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. The 5 men saw this, and they all shouted with joy. Here was the largest and fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. So they took him away for the bullfight in a cart. What a day it was! Flags were flying, bands were playing, and all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. They had a parade into the bull ring. First came the mandarillos, with long sharp pins with ribbons to stick in the bull and make him mad. Next came the picadors, who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick in the bull and make him madder. Then came the matador. He was proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome, and bowed for the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword, and was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Then came the bull, and you know who that was. Ferdinand. They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the banderillos were afraid of him, and the picadors were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. Ferdinand ran into the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped, because they thought he was going to fight and stick his horns around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers in the lovely lady's hair, and he just sat quietly and smelled. He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. And the banderillos were mad, and the picadors were madder. And the matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off his cape and sword. So they had to take Ferdinand home. And for all I know, he is sitting there still, under his favorite cork tree, smelling his flowers just quietly. He is very happy.